I think if you want to understand how to collaborate to deal with some complex challenge, it's important to realize that it's not the only option, that there's four options that you have to choose among. One option is just to work to make things the way you want them to be. I call this forcing, and you might do that through your ideas or your charisma or your money or your votes or your guns, whatever. Those aren't the same, but what they have in common is there's a way I want things to be, and I'm going to work with my people to make it that way. A second option is adapting, which is I can't make it the way I want it to be, so I'm going to try to see how I can get along with the situation as it is. And that often takes wisdom and perseverance and courage. The third option is to exit, to say, I can't make it the way I want it to be, I can't live with it as it is, so I'm out of here, whether I'm quitting the job or emigrating or getting divorced. The fourth option is I'm going to try to work with those others, even people I don't agree with or like or trust. I'm going to try to collaborating to address the issue. And what I think is important is that for most people, collaborating is the last option. It's what you do when you can't make it the way you want it to be. You don't think you can adapt. You don't want to exit. Then how do you collaborate? That's the framing question. One reason that collaboration seems more difficult than it is that we often imagine that it has many preconditions, that we couldn't really collaborate until we trust each other, or until we agree on what the solution is, or until we agree on what the problem is. And most of the time, these preconditions don't exist and don't need to be there. That what's needed is to come together and meet and talk and see what you can do. I think that we can lower the bar to collaboration. We can make it less daunting. We can make it seem less impossible if we understand that it doesn't require all these things to be agreed before we even start. Trust, for example, is not a precondition. It is, at best, a result. When I think about why collaboration so often seems difficult or even impossible, I now think it has to do with a particular way we conventionally understand collaboration. This is a very widespread understanding of collaboration, but it has under it this implicit assumption of control, that it's actually possible to set out what's the good of the team, what's the problem, what's the solution, who has to do what, and so on. And I think that there are fewer and fewer circumstances under which such control is actually possible. So the question is, how do you collaborate when you can't exercise that control, where the situation is out of control? If the conventional approach is controlled or constricted, then what does the unconventional approach, which is stretch rather than constriction, what does that look like? And what it looks like is, rather than being one team with one goal, you recognize that there's multiple holes, multiple hold-ons, and understand and embrace not only the connection but also the conflict. Rather than there being one problem, one solution, one plan, to recognize that it's about multiple possibilities and experimenting a way forward one step at a time. And most basically, rather than saying it's about getting other people to change, which is inherently this idea that I know what needs to be done and you need to do what I say, that I can control you. The opposite is we're in this together, we're co-creators, I'm stepping into the game. So the essence of the movement from conventional to stretch collaboration is the movement from there being one way, one whole, one plan, one leader, to the idea that there's plural wholes and plural possibilities and plural co-creators. And that's the stretch.